Okay, my name is Roberta Payne, and I'm from Denver, Colorado in the United States. And I'm 76 years old, and I've had schizophrenia for about 55 years. And I'm here to talk about that today.
Great, perfect. And 55 years is a very long time. And I'm sure, when you have something for 55 years in your life, you would definitely like something about your diagnosis. So, what is that one thing that you really like about being diagnosed with schizophrenia?
That's an odd question. This is the second time in my whole life I've been asked that question. The first time was by some medical students I was speaking to last fall. I like probably, no, not only. I like basically the fact that I am a very creative person. I'm a writer and I'm an artist, and I truly enjoy the creativity, albeit it's somewhat restricted. The physical art is by being outsider art, which doesn't appeal to everyone, but it appeals to a lot of people. And I find that the older I get, the more creative I am, and the more of my time it takes up.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love about being diagnosed with depression is that I get to meet great people like you and do this and record conversations. So, I'm very happy to have this diagnosis. Okay, you said that you're 76 years young and you have seen a lot of different phases in life. So, is there anything that you have seen a change in terms of stigma since you were first diagnosed to 2021?
I believe so. First of all, you're engaged. And when I was first diagnosed, it was assumed I would never, ever have another relationship with a man, or a close relationship with any person. Let's see. When I was the first many years, I was so ill that I really was unaware of my environment pretty much. I don't know how much stigma there was. I think there was a lot. I think my family hid me. They were very, very, very ashamed of me, every one of them. And they gradually got over that through education on their part, which was good. Some of them did. I don't know. My sister hasn't spoken to me for about 25 years. And she's not the sort of person who would turn her back on someone who's mentally ill. But if I didn't have schizophrenia, I think she'd still be my sister, if any of that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense. I have found that nowadays, since I haven't, it's been about 10 years since I've had any really bad symptoms where I've had to get special help. I've been very productive, but I have found I do have to be careful, do a little mental screening process whom I'm going to tell it to. I live in a condominium complex with 48 units, and I would say maybe 6 or 8 people here know, and that's all. Yeah. Which is sad. But I have found in my profession of being a professor that there was a great, great deal of stigma in academia against people with mental illness. And I was blocked time and time again. Yeah. And when you have paranoid schizophrenia, it's very difficult to tell if people are exercising stigma against you or if you're being paranoid. So I have to do a lot of thinking a lot of heartfelt thinking before I say, oh, he's being, he or she is being, is stigmatizing me.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's such a, beautiful representation, in the sense that, the last thing that you said, that I have to check whether it's my paranoia or I'm
Yeah,
actually being stigmatized. Because, I don't hear people often kind of accepting their illness the way that, you just said. And, instead of jumping to a conclusion, you're kind of, working throughout whether it's actually correct or not. So that is
yeah,
amazing. Absolutely.
yeah. Um, you asked me to talk about what I have gained from schizophrenia, and that's one thing. I have learned to take personal responsibility in as much as I am capable. And I was very young when I came down with schizophrenia, so I can't really say I had much of an adult emotional education at that point. But I think I am a more responsible person than I would have been if I hadn't become ill. I don't know that for a fact,
Yeah.
obviously, but I also have alcoholism because I self-medicated from schizophrenia and became addicted. And during my treatment from alcoholism, I learned to take responsibility for my own actions. If I did it, I was the one who did it. Now, that doesn't mean I have to take responsibility for my hallucinations, my delusions, or my paranoia, but I do need to not let them be the total judge of character of other people. I need to look and see where I am responsible. And I do feel I've gotten that from my treatments. When I'm ill, I know to ask for help. I don't know that a lot of people in this world really know how to ask for help, but I have learned how to ask for help when I have to, where to go, and what to say. I'm good at it because I've had a lot of practice.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And you have so wonderfully, like, just put it that I know when to ask for help. And a lot of people don't even ask for help. They just,
Yeah,
struggle on their own. They believe that, it's just me, no one else is feeling that way. And to be honest, like, a lot of us are just fighting a silent battles. And telling
yeah,
the story this way is actually going to help a lot with, like, people coming forward and asking for help. So definitely, I think sessions like these are very helpful.
yeah.
So probably coming on to from this, on my next question, if someone has been diagnosed with schizophrenia recently, what advice would you give them?
Uh, I would give them the advice, and this is not original, another person said this. I would give them the advice that they realize that at this point in time in science, they are not going to live a life that is medication free, illness free, symptom free, clean slate. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I know there are some mental illnesses that people pretty much get over. Like young people tend often to have anxiety and um, panic attacks. And these, I think, very often one outgrows that. One does not outgrow schizophrenia. And that's something that has to be accepted, and it's hard to accept.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I would tell people who have recently been diagnosed with schizophrenia is to learn how to reality check. In other words, if you think somebody is angry at you, but you don't know if they really are, if you've done something to cause their anger, or if they're angry for another reason, or if it's your paranoia, it behooves you to ask.
Yeah.
To reality check or to do. I have reality checked for so many years now that I oftentimes am able to do it without the other person knowing I'm doing it. But that takes practice, but it is really essential. The other thing is you've got to take your meds. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of them have most of them have bad side effects. Mine do. And when it comes down to When everything is said and done, the side effects are not as bad as a full-blown case of schizophrenia where you end up in a hospital or trying to kill yourself or something.
Yeah.
It's a trade-off, and you don't get a free ride with schizophrenia ever.
Yeah.
Another thing I would say is, what was the other thing? Learn to understand paranoia.
Yeah.
Learn to recognize it. That is the hardest thing about paranoia, being able to recognize that you are paranoid. Then you can deal with it. But I used to, until very recently, I had a sign on my wall that said angry, ? And if I'm really, really angry and absolutely spending a lot of time, I was talking about paranoia, and I think it's a really nasty thing. It feels nasty, it acts nasty, and it's dangerous. If you have any really angry feelings about another person, chances are most people don't cause us to be that angry. And that's a clear sign that paranoia may be in the works. If you really want to hurt someone, then you know you're paranoid, because that isn't acceptable.
Yeah.
If you want to hurt yourself, that isn't acceptable either. Seek help.
Okay, I know you. You told us earlier that schizophrenia has helped you to become creative. You wrote a memoir, which is called "Speaking to My Madness: How I Searched for Myself in Schizophrenia." And you're an artist, you're a writer, you're a retired professor and teacher, but as a person, as a human being, how has your diagnosis helped you to become the Roberta that I'm meeting today? And I know
it has helped me learn to be more empathetic with other people's suffering. I was not good at that when I was young. Well, I'm not sure anybody's good at that when they're really young.
yeah.
I was just out of the teenage years when I became ill with schizophrenia. In fact, in my teenage years, I was a very, very difficult person because I was in some ways coming down with it already. I was not sympathetic to other people's lives. I am now.
Yeah.
I can see other people's pain, and for that I am grateful.
Yeah, agreed.
But it has helped me go through other illnesses, other difficulties. I have had cancer twice, which I've recovered from. And I have to say, schizophrenia hurt me more than cancer did, because schizophrenia eats away at your soul. Cancer does not. It's more physically painful probably, but it does not eat away at your soul. If anything, you can grow from it. So I have learned to put things somewhat in perspective, I hope. And that has been good.
Okay. You're such a strong lady, and I'm so glad I got to meet you. Any last words of wisdom to anyone watching you today? Like how can we learn from this amazing life that you are living? How can we be cool as you are when we are 76 years old?
Take risks. Risk going to get the best psychiatrist. Risk taking the medication that's new that the psychiatrist recommends for you. You can always go back. Risk learning a new sport. Risk making friends. Now, I don't want this to be taken out of context, but I have a sign on my wall that says, "What have you done today that's dangerous?" By dangerous, I mean, what have I done to step outside of my regular ho-humness?
Yeah.
What have I done to say, gee, what would happen if I were to call up my friend who hasn't been talking to me for a while?
Yeah.
what would happen if I were to try a new food? What would happen if I were to decide to go on a vacation? These are slightly scary things if you're not totally well, but they make you well. When you're not well, you can risk taking a walk outdoors in the summer. Maybe, and I know I've had depression. I know when you're depressed, the last thing you want to do is get outside and take a walk.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best things that could ever happen to you.
Yeah.
So take risks.
Yeah. Great, perfect. I'm smiling so much that my cheeks have started to hurt now, but I cannot be more grateful of being in your company, listening to you, and thank you so much for this. I'm eternally grateful, and thank you for even writing a memoir. Is it available on Amazon for people to buy?
Yes, it is.
Great, perfect. So I'm going to put that link and I'm going to order that straight away as well, because I would
Thank
love
you.
to read about your life. And thank you so much for coming on to Just Another Illness and sharing bits and pieces of your story.
You're welcome, and good luck to you.
Thank you.